Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. I have with me a guest who I had a chance to play with not too long ago, Alex, and I want to make sure I say it correctly. Is it Muryzn? Is that correct?
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so Alex is joining me today. Alex has been in New Mexico for about 4 years, right, Alex?
Yep.
Okay, so Alex has been in New Mexico for about 4 years, and I've got some great questions for you. So let's get right down to it. You're from Hawaii originally, correct?
Yeah.
Which island, where in Hawaii?
Okay. So I'm from a town called Aiea.
Aiea,
It's
okay.
Aiea. It's a strange town because every single letter is a vowel in the name. AIEA. It's a sugar
AI,
cane.
okay, AIEA. So
Yeah.
which island is that on? Is that the Big
That's
Island?
that's on Oahu, the main island.
Oh, it is on the main
Yeah.
island, Oahu.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're originally from there. When did you leave Hawaii? When did you leave the islands to come to the main states? And where did you go from when you left Hawaii?
Okay. So when I left Hawaii, I went to Berkeley College of Music, and that was in 1976.
Okay.
And I stayed till about 1979. And then I came back for a vacation. I was just going to take a semester off. And I got to Hawaii, and um, well, I landed a gig, you know, 6 night a week gig.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah. So it was really cool. And it was a lounge gig, but there was very good jazz players on it. So we always did a lot of. It was a jazz set, and I thought,
Hmm.
oh, this is a good opportunity um, to just kind of just sit in a real musical experience and just do that night after night after night. And so I stayed in Hawaii, and I wound up doing that.
So
Yeah,
okay, so let's go back. You went so from the Big Island, Oahu, you
yeah.
moved and you went to school at Berkeley School of Music,
Hmm.
and you were there for 3 years, majoring, I'm assuming, in performance, right?
Oh yes.
Oh, okay, on saxophones and woodwinds. And then when you got back, so how long when you went back to the Big Island, when you went back to Oahu, how long did you stay there when you got that gig?
Oh man. Okay, so I stayed there for at least 10 years.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you you went back and you stayed back.
yeah. I stayed back. I never went back to school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought maybe you went back to school at Berkeley, but I guess not.
No, never,
So,
never finished up.
oh, that's okay.
So Lee
So,
Burke, Lee Burke, if you're listening, I could use a scholarship. I wouldn't mind finishing up.
I are you really want to go back to school at Berkeley?
I just, ah, I wouldn't mind finishing. I wouldn't mind having that degree.
That's funny.
But
So for that, well, after that, you went to San Francisco, and you were in San Francisco for the longest time. So when did you move to San Francisco?
oh, okay. Okay, So this is how the San Francisco thing got started. So when I was in Hawaii, let's say, let's say I was one of the top players. Uh, there was a guy named Gabe Baltazar. It was just amazing. And he was former lead alto for Stan Kenton. He was like the daddy of us all. So of course, I would call him the best. But I mean, just being younger, and there's sometimes these guys price themselves out of a gig. Somebody comes to town and they say, "Oh, I want this much money," and the guy says, "Forget it. I'll find someone else." So that's what happened to me. I got to play with Freddie Hubbard that way.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So that was like probably the best gig I did in Hawaii. I did a few other kind of fun things, but in Hawaii, I got to do that for like a solid week at this nightclub called Trappers. And so after doing that, I was like, wow, I got to get out of here. There's like a whole new world. I'm just in this tiny little pond here, and I need to get.
You were in this little bubble, weren't you?
I'm in this little tiny bubble, man. I need to get out in the real world. So that's when we decided to move to San Francisco.
Okay. So when was that? When did you move to Frisco?
Oh, I would say mid '80s.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. And so when you worked in San Francisco for many, many, many years,
yeah.
so what was the music scene like in San Francisco? Because you told us about what it was like in Hawaii. So what was it like in San Francisco? Because that's a major town. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
well, I
yeah,
can't, I said the wrong word. That's a major city.
yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. But when I moved there, this is in the late '80s. Um, I would, I would. It didn't have that vibe to it. It felt like just like a. It felt like a small town
Okay.
in a way, because it's so charming, and the weather's always great, and they have all these neighborhoods. It's really not that big a city, actually, when you come down to it.
Well, there's
Everything's
just a
like,
lot of suburbs, right?
yeah, it's just everything's smashed into one this little tiny area. So, but when I moved there, yeah, I just started working immediately. It's
Okay.
just, yeah, I went to a couple of jam sessions, and just immediately people were calling me for gigs.
So did you, because you said you felt like you were in a bubble in Hawaii and you needed to
Yeah.
get out. When you got to San Francisco, I'll take it, your horizons expanded greatly, huh?
Oh, tremendously.
Okay.
Yeah, San Francisco is a deep city. There's many, many levels of ability and many, many levels of genres.
Okay.
You have an R&B genre. You have a blues rock genre. It's kind of like here.
Okay.
But I don't know. Lucky thing about me was I fit into all those. I fit
Well,
into all the genres.
well, yeah, we're going to talk
Yeah,
about that here in a couple of minutes.
yeah.
So now when you were in San Francisco, you played with a lot of big names. I mean, just to name a few, you played with Bobby Hutcherson, right? And
Hmm.
I think you recorded with Pete Escovedo. You even played with Huey Lewis in the News.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you did
yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr., The Temptations, The Four Tops. You played with Dizzy Gillespie. You played with Ray Charles. Heck, you even played with Stanley Clarke and Arturo Sandoval. I mean, you talk about a well-rounded group of musicians that you were playing with. You didn't pigeonhole yourself, obviously, and as you were just saying, you spread yourself out over different genres. So jazz wasn't your main thing. You played a little bit of everything, huh?
Oh, I played everything,
Okay.
and you know, uh, I play with the R&B guys, and I fit in there. The thing is, I really enjoy those different kinds of genres of music. It's not like, oh, I have to learn how to play rock and roll so I can get a big money gig. It's not. That's not the case. It's just when I play rock and roll, I like it. I
Hmm.
really enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
if I play R&B, I really enjoy that. Of course, I love jazz. That's how
Right.
I started out. So
All right.
yeah, I'm really enjoy playing the different genres of music.
Well, and it just shows what kind of a well-rounded musician you are. Having played with you and having listened to you in different situations, you are a very, very well-rounded musician. So when we jammed the other week, you were telling me why you came to New Mexico, and I thought it was absolutely hysterical. So I want to hear your story. So
Okay.
when did you come to New Mexico, and why did you move to New Mexico?
Oh, I think we got here in June of 2018.
Hmm.
And wow, the decision to actually come here was only like, I think it was like maybe January 2018. We've just, San Francisco, it's really changing. You know, the uh, the price of everything is just going sky high. You have when Google moved in and Facebook moved in and all those companies moved in. Money was no object to these people. So if they're looking for a house and suppose the list price is like 600,000 or something like that, if they like the house, they're just gonna bid like a million plus. And people like regular people, just artists and musicians, we can't compete with that.
No,
No way.
right.
So what's happening is because of that, the musicians and like the regular people are just like moving farther and farther and farther away from the city where all the work is. So, for example, I know people living in Stockton, Tracy. That's a good 2 hour drive just to get into work every day. So that we moved to Pleasant Hill, which wasn't that far away. It's more closer to Oakland and Walnut
Okay.
Creek. It's on what they call the East Bay.
Okay.
So we moved there and we bought a house, and just to get to work, just to get to San Francisco, good day, on a good day, 45 minutes.
Wow.
Traffic, yeah, perfect, right? Just like driving to Albuquerque.
Right.
However, that rarely happens. There's always something going on. There's always an accident. There's always something.
I'm guessing your commute turned into an hour plus easily.
Oh, hour plus easily. And some of those jobs, especially like the jazz gigs, you know, they pay about as much as they do here. So if
Right.
you take a jazz gig, which is always fun, of course, and you leave 2 hours early, you do your jazz gig, you make what, $75, $80, and you drive home $4. You'd be better off slinging burgers at McDonald's. You would make more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what drove your decision to leave. So you told me it was, but why Albuquerque was my question or in your case, it's Santa Fe because you live in Santa Fe, but why New Mexico? Why Santa Fe?
My wife was looking around. She thought about Austin. She thought about all these different places, and she just kept looking around. And my daughter was already going to school here. She went to Santa Fe University of Art and Design.
Okay.
Yeah, she was one of the last graduating classes there. And no, she was always here, so we'd visit, and it was nice. It was really nice.
Right.
Especially Santa Fe, and not to put down Albuquerque, but
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure,
Okay.
I'm sure by the time you sold your house outside of San Francisco, affording a house in Santa Fe was not a problem.
Oh yes, that's true. Everybody says, "Oh, how can you afford to live in Santa Fe?" Well, we used to live in San Francisco, so it's all relative, right?
Yes,
So
it is all relative. So
yeah.
So you dropped everything, you sold your house, you came to Santa Fe, and you've established yourself here as one of the in-demand saxophonists, because I've seen you play with Bobby Shue, I've seen you play with the Albuquerque Jazz Orchestra, I've seen you do a couple of other gigs, I've seen you do, you're so versatile and you do so much. What's it like being, because you've been a freelance musician your whole life. What's it like being a true freelance musician in New Mexico? I'm guessing that you're able to make a living and you're able to get an income from it, although probably not as much as you'd like. But what is it?
Right.
You had a couple of years there where it was really iffy during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it like being a freelance musician in New Mexico, in Albuquerque and Santa Fe area?
Oh, it's wonderful. The scene here is just I can't describe it. Everybody is so welcoming. Everybody is like really truly nice. It's not like they're being nice to you because you got something to offer, and they want something from you. It's not like that. They're just plain nice.
Yeah.
So that's really that's really just a blessing.
Hmm.
And and uh, and the music, is high quality. It's very good.
We have great musicians in Albuquerque and Santa Fe both. And of course you're one of them, which we appreciate that more than you can imagine. So let's talk about your some of the recordings you've made, because I went and did a search and I have found that you have at least 3 recordings as a leader. The first one was a self-titled album. The second one was called Cross Currents. Both were released by, and I'd say, correct me if I'm saying it wrong, is it Kamei Records?
Kamei Records.
Kamei Records.
Yeah.
And the third one is titled For the People, which is released by Monarch Records. So are those, now I found them on YouTube, are those albums available on streaming services? Are they available to purchase? Are they still in circulation at all?
You can buy them. The first 2 you could buy from Guitar Solo Productions in San Francisco, and if you ever see me, or just hit me up if you want one. Someone wants one, just get a hold of me. I can get them from the guy. He's still got a bunch of them out there, and then. And Monarch Records, that company, I don't know. I think it went under, it stopped, and I think those records are hard to find.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well, I listened to them and I enjoyed them immensely, and I could hear, you're gonna laugh, but I could hear the difference between your self-titled album, which was more of a, I don't like the term smooth jazz. I kind of think pop jazz,
Feel free. It's smooth jazz. They wanted to make a smooth jazz record.
Okay, so the first album is very much a smooth jazz. You play a lot of soprano saxophone, very Kenny G-ish, that smooth saxophone sound.
That was what was selling, and that's what they approached me with. They were like, "Hey, we want to make you, we want to make money off of you."
So the second album was kind of a mix. And then that third album, the one For the People, that was a lot of straight ahead jazz. I thought that one was very good.
Can I tell you how I got that record deal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'd love to hear this.
Okay. It's actually kind of funny.
Cool.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, his name is Jim Nichols. He's a great guitar player. Plays Chet Atkins style,
okay,
like this. And
right.
So he was, making a record. He got approached by this producer, and Dean Kamei. Dean Kamei is like a real guitar aficionado. He owns a really nice guitar store in San Francisco. And so he expanded into making some recordings of his favorite guitar artists. And he brought on this producer. His name was Alan Rosenberg. And so, yeah, they called me in to do this session. And let's see, I just remember sitting in the booth and, listening to this guy talk, this Alan Rosenberg, and I honestly, I didn't like him.
This was the record producer, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I hope he's not listening to this.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
He's one of those guys that's name dropping, like everybody's, did this, Johnny, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and played on my, So I was like, God, I hate this guy. And I was getting really angry. So they called me in to go to the booth, and so they played the track for me, and I played this solo. I was so mad, it's just really intense, like just a lot of notes. I was angry, and then this is so ridiculous because I'm such a hypocrite. Okay, so I went in there. I was all, I kind of hate this guy. I'm just going to do this thing, and then so finished the take, and they're all sitting around the booth there, and they're all going. They're just silent, and then the producer goes, "Do you want to make a record with me?"
So you were angry and played everything you could think of, and you got the record deal.
I just, he goes, "Do you want to make a record?" I was like, "Sure."
Oh,
what,
that's funny.
what a hypocrite. So, so yeah, I signed this production deal with this guy, and you know, it was an interesting experience. I learned a lot about the music business.
Oh, I bet you did.
Yeah,
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 you know what? There's nothing better teaches you what is happening in the music business than making a recording and looking at how they're going to sell it and the production and everything. Oh yeah, it'll teach you a
yeah,
whole lot.
yeah.
If you really want to learn about the music business, be a leader, be
Right,
a
right,
band
right.
leader, or you know, put together a record, having to pay the bill. Oh, that'll teach you a lot about the music.
So I did 2 records with these guys, and I never paid a dime. You know,
Right,
it's yeah, it's all out of Dean Kame's pocket,
right.
which he's still paying for to this day.
I was about to ask you, I assume
Yeah.
you still get royalties for it.
Oh no, I don't get any royalties, but he still has to. I mean, he forked out so much money for these projects.
Oh, that's funny.
The poor guy. I mean, I talked to him. Even I still talk to him, and a poor guy. He's just reeling from these things.
That's okay. Well, for our benefit, if anybody, and I'll put the link down below
Yeah,
in the remarks section so that people know where they can listen to it. Because like I said, I listen to them on YouTube, and I think I found one on Spotify, and I'll make sure I put down where I
yeah.
found them in the list because they're actually fun to listen to.
Oh yeah.
Again, the first one, I was just like, this sounds like it is just typical, what, as you said, smooth jazz, pop jazz, you know,
Right,
it is
right.
just it's soprano sax. I was like, okay, so did someone just say, okay, let's just make another Kenny G album?
That's what I
And it's
think what they
nothing.
were going for.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's funny. So with all the records and everything that because I know you've been on a lot of recordings and
Hmm.
you've done a lot of things, not just under your own name, of course. So is there a favorite recording, a favorite album that you have been on, either as a leader, which we just talked
Hmm.
about, or as a sideman? Is there a particular one that sticks out in your head?
You know, before I moved here, I there was a very young drummer in San Francisco that that approached me to do a record with him. His name's Michael Henning, and so you know, here I am, 60 years old, playing with these 25-year-olds, and that actually was is one of my most satisfying records.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's just
You'll have to make sure that you get me the link, you know, the name and the title, and I'll look it
oh
up. And like
yeah,
I said, I'll put
definitely.
it down below because, you know, I looked up your discography and you're on like, you know, hundreds of recordings. It's just, you know, a lot of them are just like you're on one take here or a couple of takes there, or you're
Right.
doing a few things. So, but I love when I listen to, you know, I'll ask somebody, what's your favorite recording? And they're like, oh gosh, I've had too many to think of. So I'm glad you came up with at least one.
Yeah.
In your list of people you have played with, it said Huey Lewis in the News. So
Oh,
I got
really?
to ask you about that because I am a big Huey Lewis in the News fan.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love their
Yeah.
stuff. So were you sitting in with them, or were you
I
actually
was,
hired for a gig, or what?
I was hired, I was the sub for a long time. So whenever there was, my good friend Rob Suddeth was playing baritone, and my good friend Ron Stallings was playing tenor saxophone, and they called him the Rev. He was amazing. So anyway, whenever Ron was in a lot of bands in San Francisco, and when so you know occasionally he get a recording session or got to go on tour with somebody else, and that's when they called me.
Okay.
So I got
Did you do any recordings, or did you play on any big gigs with them, or was it just when they
oh
were
I
coming through town?
oh no, it was like most of my gigs were like Midwest, a lot in Florida, a lot of gigs in Florida.
Okay.
I did one here too. I remember at the what's the name of that casino? San
Well, there's
Felipe. San
the San
Felipe.
Felipe, oh, which is
Yeah,
the, it's now Black Mesa.
yeah, we played there. Yeah,
That would be cool.
yeah,
Like I said, I'm a big Huey Lewis and the News fan, and especially when they add the big horn section. Oh, I've always been a big fan of that.
yeah,
To
yeah.
me, it just adds so much taste to that group. As much
Uh,
as I love the group as it is, whenever they added the horn section, I was just like, oh, that's it. I got it. That's it.
uh, well, Huey's like a big Memphis fan. He's like he loves the Memphis horn
Right, right.
type of uh, horn section.
Okay. Well,
So yeah,
so do you have, because you're such a versatile performer and you have done all these things, is there a particular genre, a particular style that you prefer? I mean, is it jazz, or is it, I mean, is there one in particular that rises above the other ones, or you just like them all because you like to play?
well, I do like to play. Um, I won't lie about that. Um, I love jazz. I love jazz. Um, and every once in a while, when I'm playing a jazz gig, I want to expose people to other kinds of things. So I enjoy Brazilian. I want to play that. I want to expose people to that, and I'm going to expose people to kind of more. Every once in a while, I'll add some R&B elements, but that's pretty much me.
Okay.
Jazz. I love Brazilian, and I love R&B.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, I
so
was just curious. So now you live in Santa Fe and you do a lot of work in Santa Fe and Albuquerque. I
all
mean,
right.
you travel back and forth, which today's gas prices must hurt you and wallet. I hope you have a little
Yeah.
car or at least an EV or something.
Oh
Um,
no, I have a little car, but it really cuts into the profit
Oh
margin.
God,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah,
yeah.
especially 45 minutes, from Albuquerque to Santa Fe. Well, considering your commute from when you were in San Francisco, I'm sure it's not so
Oh,
bad.
it's a lot better. It's a lot better, and
Yeah.
the drive is beautiful.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah, going up and down. Wait, yeah, and you've been here through at least 3, 4 winters now, so you know what the winters are like too. So
oh
we get our fair share of snow. We
right.
get our fair
Oh,
share of crappy weather.
I had
So
snow. I had snow in the Bay Area maybe once a year.
yeah, out here,
It would
especially in
snow.
Santa Fe, you're
Yeah.
going to get your fair share of it, especially
Right.
where you live in Santa Fe.
Oh yeah.
So now you do you also teach in Santa Fe? Do you teach private lessons? Can people contact you for private lessons?
I'm not doing that so much anymore, but I do. If it's somebody I know, or somebody recommended by someone I know, I'll give them some lessons. No problems. Yeah, and I
Cool.
also teach at the New Mexico School for the Arts.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm the woodwind instructor there.
Oh, I didn't
Run
know
run
that.
the run the woodwind lab
Okay.
and teach private lessons there. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. All
it's
right.
good.
I see it.
It's
I didn't know
yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
news to me. So
Oh
okay.
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about the book that you co-authored with Tim Lynn, and it's called Melodic Shapes for the Modern Improviser.
Right.
So tell me about that. How did that come about, and where, if someone wanted to buy it, can they still buy it?
Oh yes, you could just
Oh,
put it.
okay.
You could go. You can get it on Amazon. You can look on Facebook. They have their own web page, and
Okay.
yeah, it's out there.
If someone, tell me why someone would want to pick up this book and read through it. What was the purpose of this book?
Okay, so uh, this book is, how you have those Jamie Aebersolds,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then they have their own collection. It's called the 251
Right.
collection, and I mean, frankly, I mean, you look at those patterns they give you. Um, why would anybody want to play that? They don't sound good. They sound really infantile.
And they're
Uh,
very basic, very basic.
yeah, if someone came on a set and they played those licks, I mean, they get laughed off the stage. You know, they're really, I mean, they're for beginners. Yeah,
Right,
let's put it that way.
right.
But beyond that, they start on the root on beat one, they end on the root on the third measure.
Hmm.
You know, it's like it's not something you want to play. So
So this book is designed to help you what improve upon those, and is that the kind, and is this
yeah,
is it a play along book, or is it a book that shows you, okay, here's different lines you can play with these particular chord structures?
yeah. I mean, you could get these lines in your ears. You play them over and over, and there's you could go to if you go to the web page, the Facebook page, it'll have like play along options, like things that you could download.
Okay.
Uh, but I mean, these licks. I mean, there's no copyright on a lick.
Right.
It's not like a song. You know, you could play a Charlie Parker lick. It's not. No one's going to sue you. You
Right.
know, right? So these are just collected from me from what 40 years of playing,
Hmm.
right? And Tim, who hasn't been playing as long, but wow, I mean the progress this guy's made is unbelievable. So yeah, we've lifted all these 251s from different recordings. I mean, there's John Coltrane 251s in there. There's Seamus Blake 251s in there. There's Jerry Bergonzi 251. I mean, these are like the beautiful lines that are
Okay.
just from different recordings.
Okay.
And so if you play these lines, you got some hip vocabulary.
Cool.
It's not like you're just going to go da ba 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 da. You're not going to do that.
No.
No, this is going to sound good. You get this under your fingers, and you're going to have some good licks.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. I'll make sure
yeah,
I put the link down below.
uh-huh.
I'll try to find the Amazon link and make sure that that gets put up there, because this is something that, when you go to jam sessions and you listen to people play, and I'm not perfect, I've got a long way to go, but when you listen to people play, a lot of them don't know what to play over a 3 6 2 5 1 chord progression.
Oh
And
yes,
this is the
right.
kind of thing that will help somebody understand, here's how to play, because how many songs can you think of? I can think of 1,000 songs that all have 2 5 1 progressions in them.
Yeah,
3 6 2 5 1, which is just basically 2 5 1 in a wrong, different key, but
right.
3 6 2 5 1s, you need to be able to know how to play those. And again, I'm far from perfect. I'm still working on this after all these years,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's something that might be helpful. So I'll make sure that everybody knows it's called Melodic Shapes for Improvisation, and you co-wrote it with Tim Lin. And I'll make sure that I put a link up there on the bottom so people know about it. So last question before we
Yes.
wrap this up. And I totally warned you about it beforehand.
Oh
Give
yeah.
me, give me strangest gig, strangest situation. Tell me an anecdote that you think everybody, strangest, weirdest anecdote that you can think of. Tell me something.
Okay. Um, okay. This is one that a little embarrassing, but happened so long ago. I don't care. So okay. So I just moved to San Francisco. I was like the new hot guy in town, So I was doing all the gigs, and one of the gigs was this guy named Dick Bright. He had a society man, but he always had like the best players in his society bands. And so I was subbing for this saxophone player, and I I was doing the gig, and we were opening for it's not Carmen, Betty Carter. We were opening
Okay.
for the Betty Carter trio. Yeah. So we get up there and we're playing, and I'm just everybody's giving me solos. There's like, oh, we want to hear you play this one, play this one, play this one. So I'm like getting with solo after solo after solo just handed to me. And what happened was I think we were doing an arrangement of Green Dolphin Street, and it started in C, And so we're playing it, and the lead alto player goes, "Hey, can you take solo on this? I want to hear you play it." So I said, "Sure." So I didn't have the chart or anything like that, so I didn't have the chord changes. I was just, I was playing my part, and then when the
Right.
solo came, so I was playing my part, and then the solo part comes up, and I just jump in the key of C.
Oh no.
Right, but right then, right when I started the solo, the chart modulated to E flat. So, so for like a couple of measures, I'm like, what the heck is
Yeah.
going on here?
Where are we?
Yeah, I know this song, and I know Betty Carter, and I'm looking at Betty Carter, and she's looking at me like, okay, you have got to be the most brilliant player I've ever heard, or you don't know what the hell you're doing. It was one of those looks, like watching a car wreck or something. You're like the space hunter is like, so. I mean, it was just lasted for a short moment, but of course,
Right.
it felt like an eternity. It was like Betty Carter looking at me like,
Oh
"What are
God.
you doing?"
Hopefully you modulated into the
Oh,
correct key.
I did. I figured it out afterwards.
Oh, that's funny.
And the funniest thing on top of that is, so we get done and we take a break, and I'm like, just I felt a little weird, felt a little bad. Uh, and then I was just I think I went to help myself some water somewhere, and then the piano player comes over and he goes, "Oh my God, that was the best solo I have ever heard in my life." Oh no, of course I didn't tell him.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know what
don't,
it
yeah,
was.
you didn't want to
Yeah,
admit to
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
That was
Oh,
so
that's good.
funny.
That's
Yeah.
good. All right. So anyway, we're running out of time here. I want to thank Alex for moving to New Mexico and for doing all the stuff that you do for New Mexico, for Santa Fe, for Albuquerque music communities, and for the scene. And you can find all of his work online. You can look him up. He's playing everywhere. They've got jam sessions, they do gigs, they do all this great stuff. So if you get a chance and you're in Albuquerque, make sure you find Alex and you go out and see him live, because having played with him and listened to him, trust me, it's well worth your time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.